Hello, hello, hello. And how are you today, my dear little human pet? Now that I think about it, I wonder if you can properly be called human at all anymore. I haven't actually changed your, what do humans call it? DNA? No, that has remained untouched. I think that I could change it if I tried, but your body contains trillions of copies. Changing every single one of those would be such a pain, and it wouldn't really accomplish anything meaningful. No, it was more of a cosmetic surgery. So, your genes are still human, though I wonder if that matters. Is that what makes a human? A human. A string of proteins in their cells being in the right order. In the end, you no longer resemble anything close to a human. Any of your former kin who saw you would recoil in sheer horror. I don't know if you realized, but you're different mentally now, too. Oh, absolutely. I remember how you behaved in the beginning. You were completely different. You used to be so innocent, pleading for mercy, simply trying to get away any way you could. But then you developed a defiant streak, trying to actively fight against me, sabotage me, or simply disobeying me out of spite. And now, you're starting to really settle into things. You still get frightened. Now that you know the sort of things I can do to you, your fear seems to be stronger than ever. But I think you started to truly realize that you're never, ever going to escape. You have a very grim demeanor, and your face, it never gets old. You face each challenge with a sort of hopeless determination, like you try your best to succeed, but you don't even know why. Oh no, I absolutely love it. I was worried you would become desensitized, but instead you become very focused on our games. It's delightful. So that brings me to the question of, after you no longer look like a human, or think like a human, whether you could possibly still be considered a human. Yesterday I decided to simply call you immortal, so I guess we should stick with that. That's the most delightful thing. After all this warping of your mind and body, you still have the ability to feel pain and die. You haven't been changed in that way, or any other way that would truly benefit you. Why yes, I am going to keep rattling on. I see you haven't entirely lost your defiant streak. Lucky for me, it makes things more interesting. But no, there will be no chase today. Honestly, I'm too tired. I had to really try yesterday. For the first time in centuries, I have to confess, I'm a little bit out of shape. I'll have to rest up before we can do another chase. In the meantime, I decided that I could just toy with you. Some good old-fashioned psychological abuse. It'll keep you in the right mindset for me. Speaking of which, I wonder why it is that you've managed to stay so entertaining. Your mind is absolutely fascinating. I was so worried early on that you would break or get desensitized, but somehow you've managed to, what is the saying? age like a fine wine. Perhaps you were never truly human. Not mentally. There's something different about you. Long ago, I used to torture humans all day, and they've never behaved quite like you. It's as if you were made to be my little plaything. Oh, you don't like that, do you? Does it bother you that you make things so enjoyable for me? Sometimes I wonder if that's the true purpose of humans, to provide us monsters with delicious fear. I'll admit, there were a few times where I thought you were going to run out of ways to amuse me, but you always bounce back. To tell the truth, I tried to be very conservative with the changes to your body. I was concerned about the psychological effects, but it looks like you won't break so easily. I think I want to try some more drastic changes next time. Oh, well now isn't that an interesting idea? Experiment on my own body, eh? Well, sure. I've done it before. Like I told you, I used to look more or less like you. Or rather, how you used to look. I've already changed my own body, but I haven't tried any changes in a very, very long time. I've grown quite accustomed to this form, but perhaps it is time to change things up. You might come to regret mentioning that, I'll admit. If you want a shot at escaping me, you shouldn't encourage me to improve my abilities. Disturbing as you may find your new body, you can't deny that I made you much more suited to running away. Oh no, it's too late. You shouldn't have put the idea in my head. Now, let's see. What should I do to myself? How can I make things more interesting? The obvious choice is making some of the same changes I made to you, to make me better at chasing. But that seems a bit redundant, doesn't it? That essentially canceled out your improvements, making the chase less challenging and less enjoyable once again. Well, one thing I don't enjoy about our chases is when you manage to slip out of my grasp. In my opinion, the chase should end the moment I catch you. Whenever you manage to wrest yourself out of my clutches, it feels like you've ruined the victory for me a little bit. In that case. Oh, now this feels interesting. Look at my body. So long and sinuous now. This way, I can wrap myself around you and ensure that you don't slip away. Feels a bit ungainly with only 2 legs, though. Let's add a few more for balance. Not much better. This should make for an interesting chase next time. Though I don't want to go into it without any practice. I would hate to slip up and let you get away from me for good. Let's see how easy it is to wrap you up so you can't move. That was surprisingly easy, even with you wriggling around like that. Yes, this should work. Absolutely perfectly. It's actually quite comfortable, being wrapped around you this way. I think I'll spend a little more time like this. It tickles a little bit when you wriggle like that. It's strange. It's not very often when a monster finds something pleasurable, unless it involves fear or pain. I had assumed that I had exhausted every other sensation. was one to take radical changes to my body. This is the first time I've done something non-humanoid. Well, monster biology seems almost ideal for shapeshifting. Unlike with you, where I have to be very careful to make sure that the changes I make all work together. My body will actually adapt on its own. For example, when I lengthened my spine just now, my back muscles strengthened to support it, all on their own. For that reason, I'm a little reluctant to change my form. You never know when unexpected changes could happen. They're usually reversible, of course, but I've heard rumors that mental effects are possible. And yet, I'm not so worried when I think about how it will make our chases more interesting. You really have made things so much more interesting. Suddenly, I don't care as much what happens to me, so long as it's entertaining. I wonder what the future will bring. What new depths will we dive into in order to keep things fresh? I can make all sorts of changes to both of us, couldn't I? That was a nice reaction. You don't like the sound of more changes, do you? I wonder what sort of changes would you fear the most? We'll have to do lots and lots of experiments to find out. Perhaps that's enough for today. I want to practice using this new body. It wouldn't do for you to get away because I tripped over all my new legs. Have fun with your day off. Well, as much fun as you can in that cage. Until next time.